Night on Nashville's Channel 2.
We now join our regularly scheduled program, In Progress.
The official statistics, just under 800 people dead so far, no Americans, may not begin to tell the story. We begin with ABC's John Quinones in Mexico City.
The faces of fear, you see them throughout the streets of downtown Mexico City as families and friends wait for word on loved ones lost amid the rubble. Justicia Garcia's 18-year-old sister is among 70 students trapped in the collapse of a school. Dr. Luis Solares' brother is clinging to life under the debris.
All are very afraid, and they need oxygen.
This man's family of four lies somewhere in the ruins of his home. All he could hear today was the cry of his dog. This woman lost 7 neighbors. They disappeared when the ground thundered, she said. No one knows how many people died inside the Regis Hotel. When the earthquake struck, dozens of people were trapped by collapsing walls and the fire that followed. Now and then, a victim is brought out alive, and there is hope for people like Iara Collazo, who barely escaped her crumbling apartment. Her husband did not. God willing, I hope he's alive, she says. Everything is possible. It is a race against time, and time is winning. After digging for 24 hours, this man found his brother. Too late. Muerto means dead. Tonight, the dead outnumber the survivors in the rubble, and Mexico is in mourning. John Quinones, ABC News, Mexico City.
We told you last night that people in other earthquakes have lived for a considerable length of time trapped in the rubble. That's why so many Mexicans today are hoping. And why so many other people now are coming to help. Our next report is from Tom Shell.
In the most ironic of all the twists of fate in this disaster, the quake inflicted the ultimate punishment on those already suffering. This is all that remains of Mexico City's General Hospital. Rescue workers dig tirelessly, knowing people are alive under all this rubble. A moment of elation. A woman clad only in her hospital gown is found alive. She is lifted into the clear and dies. At the gates, anxious relatives wait for word of other patients. Dr. Jose Velasco is chief of neurosurgery.
We expect that more than 900 beds are here.
The damage was random, the earthquake allowing age-old buildings to stand and destroying newer ones. The Regis Hotel had 500 guests registered. Most were believed still in their rooms. Just around the corner, a boarding school where rescue workers determined that at least 20 students are alive. The job now is to free them before they suffocate. President Miguel de la Madrid toured hospitals and the heavily damaged sections of the city today. The emergency relief plan he ordered into effect yesterday appears to be working. At the main Red Cross hospital, there is quiet efficiency as supplies of food and medicine pour in from outlying areas. Senora Ana Maria Timmerman is director of Red Cross delegations.
Yesterday was a hardest day because we had more than 400 people coming in here, and it's all controlled.
All long-distance telephone service has been cut off in Mexico City, so radio and television stations are filling in. Earthquake survivors call in. The stations broadcast word that they are okay, hoping relatives in distant areas will hear.
Para La Paz, Baja California, familia Gardea Ojeda.
With each hour, the scope of the disaster widens. Damaged buildings collapse, and the number of known dead and injured rises. Tom Shell, ABC News, Mexico City.
And we have still not heard from many of the outlying areas which were actually closer to the center of the quake. There is also concern tonight for 9 ships, which were known to be near the epicenter of the earthquake. Yesterday morning, Mexican and Salvadoran Navy officers say they can't locate 5 merchant ships and 4 Navy trawlers which were in the area. One fisherman said the sea went wild with waves more than 60 feet high. Later in this broadcast, Mexico's neighbor to the north. What are we doing to help? We'll have a report on predicting earthquakes, and also one on Live Aid. Where has all the money gone?
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings, brought to you by AT&T Communications.
A lot of long-distance companies would like you to think they're just like AT&T. But take a closer look and see how different they really are. No operator service, no immediate credit for wrong numbers, and no service from many small towns. Only one long-distance company gives you full service, only AT&T. Sometimes there's just no substitute for the real thing. AT&T, the more you hear, the better we sound. AT&T, the right choice.
Good posture. You don't think about it until you realize you can lose it. 1 out of 4 women may, due in part to a calcium deficiency. That's why there's Posture, a new calcium supplement. Without enough calcium, bones can become porous and weak, but Posture taken daily can help them stay strong, and it's specially made not to produce gas. Don't wait. Eat right, exercise, and take new Posture now to help assure good posture later.
Whenever the Earth moves and causes such human devastation, it also sends emotional shockwaves far and wide. There are many Mexicans in this country, and there are many friends. ABC's Judd Rose on the American response.
The disaster was 2,000 miles away, but many Southern Californians were themselves badly shaken by Mexico's killer quake. In Los Angeles County alone, there are as many as 2 million people of Mexican descent. That's more than any other place outside of Mexico itself. And with communications to that country spotty at best, what most wanted was information.
There have been some buildings that have collapsed. There's fires, gas leaks, etc. Over.
Ham radio operators across America still seem to be providing the most reliable link with Mexico. But most Mexican Americans were turning to the Spanish-speaking media.
Our lines are busy. Would you like to hold on a second?
At KMEX-TV in Los Angeles, thousands of those with friends or relatives in the quake zone jammed the switchboard. The station continues to run regular quake bulletins. Spanish-language newspapers increased their press runs and put out special editions, while LA's Hispanic radio stations gave out information and took in food and other supplies from listeners. And the airlifts began, this flight taking medical supplies from Operation California, which arranged the USA for Africa airlift. And in Detroit, Ford, which has extensive operations in Mexico, sent a corporate jet with aid. More jets are on standby at Baylor University in Texas, where 100 units of blood were sent out last night. 300 more leave today. And in Santa Ana, California, Guardian Angels prepared for a truck convoy.
The Guardian Angels are going down to Mexico with food and clothing.
So the aid moves south, but there is little relief for many of those with loved ones in Mexico. They can only wait and hope and use the most reliable form of communication they have. Judd Rose, ABC News, Los Angeles.
The violence of this earthquake may have shocked us. Its location was no surprise. Scientists now know where earthquakes are likely to happen. As ABC's Ken Kashiwahara reports, they still can't tell when.
It is a phenomenon not yet fully understood. 1906, a major earthquake devastates San Francisco. 1971, what was considered a moderate earthquake hits Los Angeles. 64 people are killed. 1983, another moderate earthquake destroys most of downtown Coalinga, California. In California, there are thousands of cracks in the earth, or faults, the largest the San Andreas Fault, which runs the length of the state. The giant masses of earth on either side of the fault are under constant pressure, constantly moving. Los Angeles, for example, moves 6 inches closer to San Francisco each year. An earthquake occurs when there is a major and sudden movement of the earth masses. But predicting earthquakes, which would give residents early warning, is far from an exact science. For example, scientists can only estimate that the next major earthquake will hit Los Angeles sometime in the next 20 to 30 years. To prepare for that, city and county officials have been conducting earthquake drills, and new buildings must be constructed to meet strict earthquake standards. But there are still thousands of older buildings that could be damaged or destroyed.
What we are aiming at is no damage to people. The building may be torn down.
A federal study estimates that if an earthquake only slightly stronger than the Mexico City quake hits Los Angeles, 10 to 15,000 people could be killed, which is why precise predictions and early warnings could be critical in saving lives. Ken Kashiwahara, ABC News, Los Angeles.
New legal trouble for John DeLorean in our next segment.
Hey, Hey, I'm here for your season kickoff.
Well, how can I help you?
See, I've got this lawn.
How big?
It's 100 yards long.
Well, we've got a full line of Honda lawnmowers, but I think you need a Honda lawn tractor.
And I've got outdoor lighting.
Well, I've got Honda generators, and if you're planting, you may need a Honda tiller.
I'll take one.
What will you be planting?
Quarterbacks.
The Honda season kickoff, September 14th through 22nd.
When the burning, itching, and soreness of hemorrhoids flare up, Tux medicated pads give you soothing, cooling relief on contact. For hemorrhoid flare-up, get Tux from Park Davis.
It takes 1 minute. It fights plaque and bad breath. It's Listerine. With regular brushing, Listerine reduces plaque by up to 50% for better oral hygiene. Listerine, 30 seconds, twice a day.
Looking for a loan? Tried talking to a financial institution? Big, impersonal. Looks like you need a friend. At Beneficial, we're big.
Hi, I'm Fred.
But very personal. You'll talk to the boss when you talk to Beneficial, so there's no committee, no waiting. Everything could be wrapped up in 24 hours.
Congratulations.
Thanks, big guy.
Thank you.
Beneficial. Talk to the manager, and you're talking to the boss.
There was a guilty verdict today in the baseball drug trial. A jury in Pittsburgh convicted Curtis Strong, a food caterer, on 11 counts of dealing cocaine to Major League ball players. Strong will be sentenced later. He could get 15 years on each count. There was more legal trouble today for John DeLorean. Just 14 months after being acquitted on charges of trying to smuggle cocaine, he's now been charged with swindling nearly $9 million from investors in his original car company. Here's ABC's Chris Bury.
Once again, John DeLorean was dodging cameras and questions about a federal indictment, referring reporters outside his New York apartment to his new book.
Got it. All the answers are in my book if you want to read.
But today, a federal grand jury in Detroit threw the book at DeLorean, indicting him on 15 counts of fraud and tax evasion by stealing from his failed car company.
The DeLorean.
DeLorean's dream car became a nightmare for investors who say DeLorean devised an elaborate scheme to cheat them.
It bears what we call badges of fraud. The whole transaction is filled with badges of fraud.
DeLorean allegedly took $17.5 million from the car company and funneled it through a phony firm in Geneva, Switzerland, which was no more than a post office box. Of that money, $9 million was never traced or found. $8.5 million was allegedly laundered through European and American banks before DeLorean used it to buy a company that makes equipment for ski resorts. John DeLorean left Detroit, a maverick automaker eager to leave his name on a brand new car. He'll return next week to face arraignment, and eager only to clear his name from another federal indictment. Chris Bury, ABC News, Detroit.
Relatives of the American hostages being held in Lebanon met at the White House today with Vice President Bush. After the meeting, family members said they were told the United States is willing to talk to the kidnappers, but will not negotiate with them or accept their demands. President Reagan had something to say today about the other 6 hostages in Lebanon, but not much. He told Pat Robertson of the Christian Broadcasting Network that talking too much was dangerous.
I know that some of the families have grown impatient because if they don't see things in the paper, they don't think we're doing anything. But going public and being in the paper is not the way to get a Reverend Weir back or any of the others. We've explored and been trying in every avenue that is open to us. But again, it's something I can't talk about.
One other note about Mr. Reagan, he went to the hospital today for a checkup. It's been 2 months since he had his cancer operation. The doctor said today the president has made a 100% recovery. When we come back, tens of millions of dollars they raised with Live Aid. Where is the money now?
Your sink's clogged.
My new house talking already? So what's clogging the sink, Smarty? Grease, food, hair?
Doesn't matter. Get the all-purpose drain opener, Crystal Drano.
Well, how about Liquid Plumber?
No, it may not work on grease. Drano works on grease and food and hair.
Crystal Drano's great.
There's Liquid Drano, too. Liquid Plumber can't beat it.
There's one name to know, Drano.
That's my line. There's one name to know, Drano.
Imagine a tool that could make a computer programmer 10 times more productive. Imagine what that could mean to a bank, a manufacturer, a government agency. At Burroughs, we did more than imagine it. We made it a reality. It's called Link, software that increases programmer productivity up to an astonishing 1,000%. At Burroughs, we never forget why you're in business in the first place.
It's true, you know. American industry needs energy to grow. But imported energy is unpredictable. It can even be taken away. So our industries are using more electricity from resources found here at home, like coal and nuclear energy. And we're all using energy more efficiently. Efficiency, coal, and nuclear energy. That's homegrown energy America can count on.
Look here. Fast relief that takes the burn out of heartburn. Ask for Maalox Plus. Nothing works faster. That's because Maalox, America's #1 antacid for excess acid and heartburn, plus simethicone to relieve painful gas pressure, are now combined in great-tasting Maalox Plus. Tablets and liquid, any way you want it. Maalox Plus takes the burn out of heartburn. Try Maalox Plus.
And now tonight's Money Matters. The economy grew by just 2.8% over the summer. The government's first estimate of the gross national product is well below the strong pickup that the Reagan administration had predicted. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrials lost nearly 9 points today. There was fairly active trading, but that brought the loss for the week to about 10 points. And speaking of money, it has been 8 weeks now since the Live Aid concert captured the world's attention and raised millions of dollars for the victims of famine and drought in Ethiopia. The money is still coming in, but most of it has not been spent. ABC's Mike Lee has a report from London.
It was the ultimate fundraiser.
Sing it to the world!
The Live Aid for Africa rock concerts in London and Philadelphia raised $64 million worldwide. $37 million of that from Europe, $20 million from America, and $7 million from the rest of the world. Most of that is now in bank accounts earning $16,000 a day interest. But 2 months after that concert, only 20% of those donations have been spent. Why so slow?
I don't want to just scatter the money, and the responsibility, as far as I read it, and the job, the brief as I see it, is to keep people alive. And the responsibility is to protect the money that people gave us.
The trustees of the Live Aid Fund have decided to spend 60% on long-term development aid, 20% for sudden emergencies, and another 20% on urgent transportation problems. That's why the British trustees rushed through a $6 million purchase of 134 used trucks, which were needed right away to distribute food in the Sudan.
The first distribution will start taking place on the 12th of August.
As of today, 94 of those trucks haven't even shown up yet. 24 don't work, and only 16 are running so far.
It's not that easy to do it, and it's not even that easy to spend money wisely to start off with. It does take time to build up to it.
Are they naive?
I think slightly, yes. But, they're learning very fast.
At least they've learned not to buy used goods like this. This week, Live Aid committed $10 million for 100 trucks to be operated by the United Nations in Ethiopia. Those trucks will be brand new. U.S. Live Aid has spent $50,000 on a medical airlift, but most of its $20 million remain in the bank, with $50,000 still coming in each week.
This is Live Aid.
Most of the money won't be spent before the middle of next year on long-term projects like water conservation to save future generations.
We're getting the feeling that people are saying, why haven't we spent the money? Well, you know, it's very hard to spend $50 million in a couple of weeks.
They've learned a great deal. There's some excellent staff in Band-Aid. Now's the time to consolidate their position and listen to the people who've been doing the work on the ground.
The jury is still out on how donations are being spent, but Live Aid has left its own long-term legacy for Africa, a new method of raising relief money and of raising hope. Mike Lee, ABC News, London.
And speaking of raising money, there are a number of country songs which you may hear this weekend very much connected to the disappearing farmer. The theory is this: if Live Aid could do something for the people of Ethiopia, why not Farm Aid here at home? As ABC's Barry Serafin reports from the University of Illinois at Champaign, this is about country folk trying to help country folk. save some of their farms.
Workmen were busy today transforming the University of Illinois football stadium into a setting for Sunday's Farm Aid concert, when 78,000 people will be here to hear about 60 of the biggest names in country and rock music.
There are only 600,000 family farmers left in this country, and within the next 6 months, 200,000 of those will go out of business.
To help with cash, legal aid, and counseling, Nelson and other concert organizers hope to raise $50 million. But even that would not quite pay the interest alone on this country's farm debt for a single day, a debt that now totals $212 billion.
I sold it. Right there, $520 an acre. Thank you.
And whatever help the concert does provide will come too late for many farmers, such as Rick and Linda Graydon of Witt, Illinois, who today saw their farm auctioned off. The Graydons had already sold half of their 160 acres, but low crop prices and high interest rates left them no choice but to sell the rest.
It's a place I've bought and had dreams for that will never come true on this place.
Like other Corn Belt states, Illinois has been hit hard. There are 4,000 fewer farms here than a year ago. Over the past 4 years, land values have dropped 42%. Close to 20,000 more farmers are thought to be in trouble in Illinois alone. But other farmers are still getting by buying used equipment, doing his own mechanical repairs, and shunning loans. Bill Carlton still makes a profit. Some farmers, he says, have been victims of bad times, others of bad judgment.
It's the survival of the fittest. Those who plunged into debt, who were going to become millionaires, have got serious problems.
All of the farmers with whom we talked were agreed that while the upcoming Farm Aid concert won't provide much financial help, it will draw attention to deepening farm problems through songs like the one Merle Haggard will sing on Sunday.
The farm just won't get tended if the farmer isn't here. The amber waves of grain, they disappear.
Barry Seraph on ABC News, Champaign, Illinois.
Overseas once again, the Minister of Defense in France has resigned under pressure. Charles Ernoult was accused of lying to government investigators, trying to pin down the connection of the French Secret Service to the sinking of the Greenpeace ship Rainbow Warrior. The head of the Secret Service has been fired. And while we're in Paris, the latest escapade of an artist known only as Christo. For a quarter century now, Christo has been creating what he calls art of the monumental and transient. A giant fabric curtain across a mountain gap in Colorado. A 25-mile fence across 2 California counties and into the Pacific. Wrapping 11 islands in Florida's Biscayne Bay with pink plastic. Well, Christo's latest creation is being built this weekend in Paris. Greg Dobbs has been watching.
Pont Neuf, which means new bridge, is in fact the oldest bridge in Paris. This is how it looked before. And this is how it's beginning to look after Christo undertook this past week to wrap it. Transform it, really, using over 10 acres of specially sewn, sandstone-colored fabric held down by 8 miles of rope. Not one to mess around with sticky plaster and dripping canvases, Christo's taken on instead such things as dangling rock climbers and freelance frogmen. And voila, here's how it's been received.
Wrapping a bridge. It's marvelous.
That's why. That's the question. That's why.
What we're doing, we're appropriating elements who is not considering part of art to become part of the work of art.
In other words, what Christo's trying to do here is take something long featured in other people's art and turn it into a work of art itself, at a cost of about $2.5 million, which he funds, incidentally, himself. The French Minister of Culture calls it a dialogue between yesterday and today. But what if Christo were to ask for more dialogue around, say, the Eiffel Tower?
Why not? Why not?
At least for the next 2 weeks, though, the only part of Paris or any other city to be wrapped by Christo will be this bridge. Not that he doesn't have plans to do more, because he does. He just doesn't have the approval. Yet. Greg Dobbs, ABC News, Paris.
When we come back, we'll have a final note from Mexico City.
Morning is your time. The earth wakes up with you. Always feel that spark of life in everything that you do.
Grape nuts.
For you, it's as natural as the morning. No sugar added, no preservatives, just an honest nutty crunch. Post Grape Nut cereal. You know when you have it good.
Yes, you know when you have it good.
It doesn't take a lot of huffing and puffing to get an Allstate Shape Up and Save discount.
There's one perfect for us mature types.
With Allstate's 55 and retired discounts, you could save 10% on home insurance and save on car insurance. If you're 55.
Which is easy as 54, but takes a year long.
And if you're retired.
Which means you don't work. I'll demonstrate.
Shape up and save.
It's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
Girls, what's the giggling about?
Lisa thinks it's silly to put A1 steak sauce on your hamburger.
Silly, my dear ladies. What's hamburger? Chopped ham?
No.
It's chopped steak. And what's better on steak than A1? A1 makes hamburgers taste like steak burgers. Try it.
Incredible.
You said it. Its herbs and spices make hamburgers juicy and really tasty, like steak burgers. What's the giggling now?
Lisa thinks you're cute.
A1 makes hamburgers taste like steak burgers.
Tonight on Nightline, even before the earthquake, Mexico was a nation coming apart at the seams, and as bad as things look, they're even worse. And Sunday on This Week with David Brinkley, U.S.-Soviet relations in advance of the Reagan-Gorbachev summit.
Koppel tonight, Brinkley Sunday.
Because of the earthquake, we've had a lot of problems staying in contact with Mexico City, and as we said, haven't even been in contact with other parts of the country. Most of what we have seen is tragic. But our chief correspondent, Richard Threlkeld, is there. And in this final note this evening, he sees Mexican resilience.
Peter, the Angel of Liberty, which dominates the main boulevard in Mexico City, fell down during the last big earthquake here almost 30 years ago. But it survived this one, a sign that while Mexico may have been bent by this disaster, it is by no means broken. This temblor, the Mexicans call it, was the worst here in this century. It savaged 4 Mexican states along the Pacific coast, but saved its worst for the capital. And yet in just a day, this city has picked itself up, dusted itself off, and is trying to go on about its business. Most power and water and some local phone service has been restored, and traffic is back clogging the streets. This is a very big city, but today it's been like a very small town. Thousands of volunteers helping the authorities, neighbor helping neighbor, little looting, virtually no public disorder. It's a very Mexican response to this kind of tragedy. Ni modo, the Mexicans say. Tough luck. It can't be helped. They're fatalists about this sort of thing, and that is a kind of therapy. If they can get through today, tomorrow will take care of itself. Peter?
Richard, that's our report on World News Tonight. I'm Peter Jennings. Have a good weekend, and good night.
Later tonight on Nightline, even before the earthquake, Mexico was the nation coming apart at the seams. Ted Koppel looks at how things have gotten worse tonight. From ABC, this has been World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
You're letting all the heat out.
From the series of best-selling suspense novels by Robert B. Parker.
What do you take me for?
Pretty handy guy to have around.
Robert Urich is Spencer for Hire, premiering tonight at 9, 8 Central.
There's no place like Sears Open Home. And now you can